And nobody's got the camera on anyway, Jason, so I think you'll be all right to start, I think.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Well,
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Emma. Phil, good afternoon, councillors. Good afternoon, members of the parish. Welcome to the extension of last week's amenities committee meeting. Looking at the agenda last week, you'll see that we managed to get through as many items as we possibly could. However, there were some things that we have needed to defer until this week, so we can give them the attention that each of those points thoroughly deserves. So we'll start with one on the agenda for today, which is the apologies for absence. I don't believe that there's anybody missing, Emma.
No, everyone's here.
Okay, thank you. So number 2, public speaking. Is there anybody that's currently connected who wishes to speak today, Emma?
Nobody's indicating they do, no.
Nobody's indicating they do. Okay, thank you very much. So we shall move on. Items 3 to 6 are subjects that we were discussed last Friday, and we were going to be deferring those until the next full meeting. So we'll jump to number 7 this afternoon, which is the Memorial Park. And the first item under that heading is the centenary flower bed. Over to you, councillors. Who wants to go first?
Do you want me to start on this one, Jason?
Yes, please, Stu, if you don't mind.
Well, Emma and myself went up to the stonemasons, and the flower bed is now made as such, with flowers in, as you will have seen. The plaque is going to be made by the stonemasons. We chose some material that matches. It isn't black slate, it isn't white or anything like that. It's brown as such, looks more like stone, rather than it being actually made out of a piece of granite stone rather than granite, as I say, which would turn green under the flowers and disappear, and you wouldn't be able to see it. You can actually engrave it into this piece of brown granite, which will match the flower bed as such. So Emma's been left to sort out with them to get it made. They've said obviously they'll make it for us free of charge. They have also said, because they've got some more of the same material, that the one that is broken in the wall, that's the target wall piece that's in the park, they could make us one to match. And if we want any others, which we will be speaking about, like shortly, the COVID snake or anything like that, they could actually use the same material so that all our plaques in the park could actually match. I think that was about it, wasn't it, Emma?
Yeah, it was just, the stone is beautiful, but in terms of, they were never going to get the parish logo in the stone. You just couldn't do it with the detail. You wouldn't see it, because then you'd have to paint it black, and then you'd have to keep repainting it. So the stonemasons have said, quite rightly, granite is by far the better material. And then when you want additional plaques, they'll all look the same. But it isn't, it's not going to be a big black sort of plaque. It's a very natural colour, this granite. It's quite nice, actually. So it won't really stick out. As you're looking at the lovely flower bed that Phil's made, it's really nice stone. You're not going to then have a big black plaque in the middle of it. It's going to blend in, but you'll be able to get the nice detail with the parish logo and whatnot on, because it's going to be sandblasted. So obviously that's just for you guys to decide if that's what you'd go with.
Yeah.
Christopher, I noticed that you got your hand up.
Yeah, I don't know if Emma's probably part of the answer to the question, because we're going to see the design of something, won't we, that was going on.
The design is going to be the parish council logo and then just the dates. So I suppose, I don't know whether you want to say whether you want the dates maybe one above it, then the logo, or underneath it, or whether you want the dates kind of one on the left, one on the right, and the logo in the middle, because that's kind of all you're going to fit on, really. So I suppose, I don't know, or you're quite happy to let the mason space it out the way he thinks looks best. Because I would say it's kind of an oblong shape. It's an oblong shape that's been left. So personally, from doing a lot of this, I would put the first date, so I'd put like 1920, logo in the middle, and then 2020.
Yeah.
That would look the best, I would think. It'd look a bit odd, I think, if you had it, the dates above it. I don't think it'd look right.
If I just say, if you use the picture that you've got that says assistant clerk on this Zoom meeting now with the picture of the town hall, if you thought that the logo was where the town hall was, and one date's on the black piece on the left and one date's on the black piece on the right, because of it being the oblong, is basically how you'd be looking at it as such, from what they were sort of saying.
Has anybody got anything else you'd like to add on that?
No, I think it sounds good. It's, you know, the date, the symbol, and then the date of this year. Yeah, I'm happy with that.
The council, would any of the councillors like to see it, or should we just ask Emma to use her intuition and crack on?
I was going to say, if you want, it won't take me 2 seconds to do you a quick thing.
I mean, I'm quite happy just cracking on personally, because it's been put off for so long.
Yeah, okay. So are we okay with that? Yes, so we'll move that one to Emma's.
Yeah, I'll propose that.
Seconded. All in favour? Super.
Emma, someone's just texted me saying they're waiting to come in the room.
Hold on a minute. Let's have a look. Let's scroll down. Screen's not big enough when there's so many of you on it. Right, yeah, should be in now. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll just mention though that it's been recorded, so if you want to turn your camera off, you can do. Right.
Okay, shall we continue? Will we okay?
Yeah.
Right, thank you. So that's the flower bed put to bed. Right, now, okay, the next point we'd like to discuss is the MUGA. Who'd like to start?
Where do you start? Let you and Chris start with that one, because you're the ones that dealt with it all through lockdown.
The only one is, can I say when you're ready, Chairman, I have got something to report back for knowledge for you all. Okay.
Well, let's start with Chris. Chris, if you could just kick us off, please.
Okay, I think basically where we were up to is that with the MUGA, you've got two situations here. Whether we try and get a grant to move it completely, but what do we do in the meantime? Now, the second one is a big question. So if I go on to the second bit, to sort of improve the present situation, where we were up to was taking down all the extension to stop a lot of the reverberation, take signs off it which are reverberating a lot, mend a lot of the fastenings, or there's some things that are loose, some things are welds have gone and stuff like that. And the other thing we were looking at was a netting just behind the, maybe a metre bit behind at least one end, if not both ends, on sort of poles, which would be a relatively economical way of stopping it going in gardens. And we're looking at sort of, it like starts near the top and sort of would maybe be 3 meters up. And so looking to get prices for those. But again, the other sort of the nuclear option is another thing, and it would take a long time. So whether we just need to look until, we're talking lottery grants, that's if they give a lottery grant to move something that exists. So maybe we should just look at those other things first.
Has anybody else got anything they'd like to add before I chip in?
I was going to say, this is where I would like to come in on this, Chairman. I think Phil, the park keeper, will have some more bits to say to it in the respect of. Phil had contacted somebody that we'd been advised of through the Borough Council, through Sally Curley, in the respect of who do fencing and that. Phil and I met this gentleman because he came from Stoke specially to look at the fence if we wanted it against our boundary fence in between the trees that we had spoken about, which hadn't been voted on any which way. He also looked at what you've just mentioned, Chris, about the freestanding poles with the fencing at the top of to stop it going over. And he's also looked at the other one, Jason, that you mentioned, which isn't to do with the MUGA, but it was trying to get them out of the MUGA onto the playing field where the football goals are, that we could actually have some fencing behind the goals there so that the balls don't disappear millions and millions of miles away. And he came in, he's had a look at it all, he's measured it all up, gone away. He's going to send us designs and prices in, which should come in by the end of next week, hopefully, ready for when Emma's back off her week break as such. I think that was about where we were at, wasn't it, Phil?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he was actually quite helpful, wasn't he?
Yes, it was.
But I think what Jason was saying about trying to get people away from the MUGA is a quite good idea. So he has measured all that up for fencing behind the goalposts as well. So hopefully we'll get a good idea of what that's going to cost as well.
Okay, right. So thank you. Right. So my input on this, if you like, is that clearly this is the burning issue that has the council's full attention currently. Any actions that we're likely to take in the immediate future are likely to be mitigating actions rather than the final action. That we need to address that we have got a noise issue. And we've a nuisance issue. My take on it is similar to Chris's in as much as that I think that we need to get somebody in to have a look at all of the fixings and fastenings on the actual MUGA itself. Let's get it back to the original spec. So that would include the fixing of the broken end, that when the ball's kicked at it, it does amplify the sound from the park. Then I'd like us to embark on a quote system for multiple actions, so that the next time we meet, we are armed with enough information that we're able to make an informed decision. Currently, it's all speculation. This has been a subject that we've been discussing for a couple of months, but we don't really seem to have got anywhere with. So I'd like us to concentrate our efforts in the next month on coming up with some alternative solutions. Has anybody got anything they'd like to add to that? Nigel?
Yes. I think we have got an opportunity with our neighbours that at the moment they are being patient, and so I think it is going to take us a while to work out what to do, but we need to keep them in the loop and keep talking to them.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the worst thing that could happen is that they think that we've gone off the boil, yeah, and we're not doing anything. Mm-hmm. And it would be lovely if we could get them involved somehow in you know, the discussions of what needs to be done. I know that the long-term aims of the neighbours are to get rid of the noise issue, get rid of the nuisance issue. Obviously, we have priorities as well that we need to keep play equipment around until there's something better to replace it.
So thank you, Nigel. The question I have here, and this is probably aimed at Stuart and who's been on the council a while, is there a way of taking this MUGA from the amenities committee into its own group, so that we give it the attention it deserves without having to rush through other things on the agenda?
Oh, I see what you mean. In the respect of having a subgroup of the amenities committee just to deal with the MUGA as a whole.
Well, that's just an idea I've had whilst I'm sat listening to everybody.
Technically, yes, you could if we had got a full council of 13 people, but as we have only got 5 of us anyway,
Right.
and anything that would be decided to deal with the MUGA, because of the things like you're bringing up would cost a lot of money, and you would have to get 3 quotes and go through all the red tape that it involves. You cannot miss that because of local government. It would need a vote of the full council of 5 people anyway. So unfortunately, I don't think at the moment that would work because there is only the 5 of us. If we were back up to full strength and you wanted just to have a subgroup of doing that, yes, you could. There is a way of doing it, but at the moment, with it only being us, it's unfortunately sounds a bit pointless. I'm sorry to say that, Jason.
Okay, well, I mean, you know, I don't really know enough about the council workings, but I'd like to challenge that. If we are the council, are we not allowed to move that into a working group?
Well, theoretically, we are the working group.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is that every amenities committee that we have from here on in, we're going to have multiple items on our agenda. And one of my worries is that if you don't give each item its due time, then you can end up skipping and making mistakes. So this is a burning issue that the council has to address. So we can't just throw this into an agenda and give it a few minutes. It needs discussing properly. We need to discuss a way forward, and that's why I believe it's worthy of its own group.
Well, on that one, you can actually move on to, it would still come under the amenities committee. It wouldn't be it could be a part 2 item as such if it had lots of money and decisions like that you wouldn't want to go out to the public. You could have actually a 1 agenda item, which agenda, which is just for the MUGA, which would be, as I would say, if it's got money involved, which would be here as we are today on number 8, resolved to exclude the public and press. You just start with apologies for absence, then exclude the public and press, and then you just talk about the MUGA as a what you could actually do it. That is how they do the licensing ones and the legal ones. It's just how far you want to go. There are ways. Yes.
Well, Councillors Walter and Nigel, I'd just like to interrupt that. So I'd like to try to get away from excluding the public as much as possible.
Right.
I'd like us to be open and transparent and as much as we possibly can. But I do take your point. So I've got 2 people with hands up. So Stella, please, and then Nigel.
Right, what I was going to say before Stuart spoke the second time was, can't we just do what we've done this week, have an amenities meeting just for the MUGA? So do the MUGA, do the main amenities 1 week, and then the next week do 2 hours on the MUGA like we are today, not exclude the public, just do 1 agenda item, which is the MUGA. You know, like Stuart's just said, but just do it like we are now. And everyone that's here, do it. I'm willing to do that because I think, like you say, we'll need to spend a lot of time discussing it and the park, and we just can't do it in an amenities meeting.
Thank you, Stella. Nigel?
Yeah, I think we could alternate amenities committees with one which is a sort of general purpose, let's have everything on the agenda, and the next one we go through bit by bit on the process for the MUGA. I mean, we need to get involved with, you know, what grants are available, what the process is, you know, how do we start that ball rolling, which people do we need to get involved? You know, it's all the nitty gritty stuff that will show the neighbours that we're serious about it.
Okay, yeah, fabulous points taken. Emma?
Yeah.
Have you got anything you'd like to add before I just go to Chris?
No, if you want to have a 1 item agenda, you can do. After today, Phil won't be here on Fridays. He doesn't work. I'm going down to Winter Hours at all now. I wouldn't be very pleased with every week, in fairness, because I don't work now. No, I should be on my holiday. But you can alternate them. Obviously, the MUGA is the main one. The reason I'm here now is because there's just so much to do and I just want
Yeah.
it done. I'm literally sick of looking at it. It's my desk is
Yeah.
full. So
Yeah.
if we can get the rest of this done, then you can concentrate on the MUGA and you can just have the one item agenda. And again, I don't mind having that meeting as soon as I come back to work, and then let's just get on with it and just get
Okay.
it.
Thank you,
sorted.
Emma. I appreciate your time today, by the way. Chris?
I think we've got to look at the park more as a whole, because it's all interrelated. The skate park is interrelated with the MUGA, as is the children's play thing, and the antisocial behaviour. They're all interrelated. So in a way, we've got to look at it all holistically, if you know what I mean. So if we did have a one item agenda, it'd be the park as opposed to the MUGA.
Okay, no, so I do agree with that. Okay, so
I do as well.
yeah. So shall we propose that then, Stuart?
I was just going to say that was where I was going to come back on that one with what Chris has just said there. I fully agree with it. Not just saying MUGA. I think it should say the play equipment, because the three pieces there are all interlinked. We don't need to do the lawnmower, the CCTV, apprentices and things like that. That's normal business. But the three pieces that are the play equipment that are all there together, the children's play equipment, the skateboard park and the MUGA, are all interlinked with the noise, with the antisocial behaviour and everything. And I think just to put it as a one item agenda for that would probably be worthwhile. I do feel though that once you've done that, and obviously you start getting prices in and all the rest of it, when it does come to it of deciding which way forward, you'll have to look at the rules about the part 2, because you can't let all the prices out into the public domain. That's not fair on the people who are tendering.
No, I know I'm comfortable with that, Stuart. I just want as much as we possibly can out there in the public domain. I know, and as little as possible in part 2. Okay, so
fair enough.
Where we're up to. Okay, so do we? Is the best thing now here to put that forward as a motion, or do we just accept it? That's what we've just agreed.
I would put it through as a motion that we have arrange a meeting of a one agenda item to deal with those three.
Can I propose that we put it through as a one agenda meeting for the park?
Thank you,
play equipment.
So, any seconder? And all those for? Carried. I'm okay with that then. Thank you very much. Right. Okay. So we'll move then. We'll move swiftly on to the lawnmower.
Oh, but before we go on, Liam.
Okay.
Sorry, I just called you Liam.
Monitoring officer.
Can we make sure that we get back in touch with the neighbours who have written to us and their solicitors, and just I know we've had an email conversation about a potential response. So could we agree to say that, which will be an interim measure to ensure that they know that something's happening?
Yeah, I think that's important.
Well, what I was going to say on that one, you've already had correspondence that they have been notified through their solicitor asking them to, I think it was a month's stay of execution as such till the 5th of November. We have our full parish council meeting on the 3rd of November. Emma will be back by that day. We will have been able then to announce a date when the next meeting is. So if we did all that on the 3rd of November at the full council meeting, it would make sense that we can do that officially.
Okay. Yeah, I'm comfortable with all that. Yeah. Is everyone okay with that now? Yeah, fabulous. Okay, so
because it's only a week away, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it is. And in the meantime, we should try and get busy. Okay, so we'll now move on to the lawnmower.
Sorry, can I just quickly clarify? So I am back on the 3rd. So are we just going to leave the response to be agreed at full council to be sent to solicitors?
Yes, we believe.
We're saying what we're doing. So I'll speak to Sue. I'll send her an email. Right, okay.
Yeah, thanks. And I keep forgetting because I can't see your face. Keep forgetting you there.
I know. Sorry.
It's cool. My fault. That. Right. For the 3rd time, shall we try the lawnmower?
Yeah.
Okay. Lawnmower. Who's going to start here, please?
Right. Well, once again, Do you want me to start so that you've got a bit of history, and then I would ask Phil to continue from what I say, and then it would make sense to people. In the respect of the lawnmower for the park, the mower we have at the moment runs on, well, they obviously run it on hours, not on miles, as you might say. It has to be registered to go on the road with lights, MOT type stuff and all the rest of it, for us to be able to take it to Dove Holes, to Sparrow Pit, or down even to the Needham Wreck to do any mowing. Now, this is also partly a silly coercion of it all, because the time it's spent doing that, it can't be mowing in the park, and we do have more than one park keeper. If we had a mower that was just in the park, that wasn't licensed for the road and all the rest of it, would save us quite a lot of money. It would mean the mower we would have got would last a lot longer in the respect of going out on the road. It wouldn't need to be used in the park. And I know it sounds like spending money to save money, but if a certain type of mower was bought for in the park and in the park alone, it probably would be better, and this is where Phil can speak better to it, give you actually a better cut and a better finish and everything in the park. And in the long run, it would actually save us money. And this is the right time now to actually buy a mower, ready, sort out the price and everything, and buy one, a second-hand one as such, ready for the beginning of next year, so that we're already up and running. And it will actually make the mower we've got last longer, and the contingency money would be well spent. I think Phil will have more to say than I've just said there, but that's sort of like the background thoughts behind it.
Yeah, I mean, the mower we've actually got is, to be fair, there's nothing wrong with it. It's not a great cut, as everybody knows. Now, it's got about just short of 2,000 hours on it. Now, normally, you do about 2,500 hours, and then that's when you've got to start thinking about, you know, getting rid of it. That's when it won't be worth much at all, to be honest. But like Stuart said, if we only actually keep the one we've got, because we won't get much Partex anyway, and use that for going up to Dove Holes and keep that road legal like it is, and then just buy another one just solely for the Memorial Park, which then, because obviously people say it's the best part we've got, so I'd probably think that might be the best route to go down. Because it will be solely just for that park, and we can buy, you know, maybe something that, you know, one that we can put, you know, some stripes on the park to begin with. So I think in the long run, it probably would save us money, because it won't actually get as much it won't get as much hammer, if you know what I mean. As the one we've got at the moment is absolutely, it's a good machine, and it's built for grass verges and things like that, but it doesn't give a great cut, as everybody knows. It does look quite messy.
Well, I was just going to mention that Phil had said to me before about if one of them breaks, so say something happens to ours at the minute, you've got to wait for it being repaired. So in the meantime, obviously we're either hiring machines or whatever, but this one that you're looking at in the park, can't you put that on the trailer? And
yeah, the problem we obviously is that we've no transport. We've no transport at all. We've got a tractor and no cab on it, and we've got the big John Deere mower, and that's it. So it's always been the same issue all the time, is that you tie that tractor up by doing other jobs, and you're all you've got is the mower, other than using our own cars. So it will buying one specifically for the Memorial Park will help us in that way as well. It'll give us more transport as well, because when we go out to other parks, we have to take the tractor with the trailer, and then you've got to drive the other mower, which is road legal, to go with it, because we've no transport.
Okay, thank you, Phil. Thank you, Stuart. Nigel.
Can I just ask Phil about the width of cuts? If we got a wider cutting mower, would that mean that it would take less time and you'd have more hours in the day?
Yeah, it would. Yeah. Yeah, at the moment, the deck we've got on the one we've got is a 62-inch deck, which is a standard deck for the size of that machine. You can buy you can buy a different deck, like a frail deck, which will fit on that machine, and it is a nicer cut. And the brilliant machines, but it doesn't actually speed up the actual time in cutting, because it's exactly the same width of what we've got now. Now, when you go to like a Ranson's triple or a fairway mower, something like that, which is a cylinder mower, you're looking at another, probably, you'd be cutting down the hours from probably, how long does it take now? It takes all day to do the Memorial Park. So you'll probably cut that time, I would probably say, in half. If you get a triple cylinder mower.
Yeah. Thanks, Phil. One moment, Stuart. I'd like to pick up on that point that Nigel's just said. The history behind the mower, as far as I see it, is that we did have a 3-gang mower in the park that was breaking down and costing a few quid to repair. We've replaced that with approximately 4 foot of mower. Now that in itself trebles the amount of time that you need to cut that grass. Given that Phil has only got a certain amount of hours and he's only got a certain amount of help, that seems an incredibly poor decision. And I think we need to rectify that. We need to get Phil off the mower and into improving the parks as much as we possibly can. And if that causes us a problem in terms of finances, I think that's a problem that we need to have. I think we need to go over and get in the best available equipment. Nigel.
Can I just ask Emma, how are we for finances to fund this?
Let me go to talk.
Emma, while you're working that out, Stuart.
Yeah.
What I was just going to say was, adding into all of that is, obviously I sent that 5-year plan suggestion round to you all in the respect of the other part of it is what Emma's just said about if the mower breaks down, we're scuppered and everything. The trailer actually that we've got is not fully road legal and proper as such. We could do with a better the park. We can then look at further down the line with the money. We can do it for the budget next year, buying a trailer that's suitable to put this mower on. So that if the mower did break down, we can take this one on the trailer up to Doveholes or up to Sparrow Pit, and we can still carry on there. The other part of it is with what you said about the staff. If the other mower's out up at Sparrow Pit and that, when we've got 2 park keepers on, one can still be mowing in the park. You can actually be getting both jobs done at once, which actually is making things better. Now, the third part of it is, which Emma will be looking at now, I don't know the exact figures because I've not been on the amenities for a long while, but we've always had a contingency fund for, like with the town hall we have for the lift, we have had always a contingency fund for replacement of vehicles, whether it be the tractor, the trailer, the mower or whatever. So there should be probably somewhere, and I hope Emma will say it's somewhere about $4,000 or something like that.
Yeah, it's
4,000.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. We've usually put so much each year away into it to be able to replace a vehicle. So if we don't replace as such and we buy a second hand that's good or whatever, like Phil's just said, it's still the same. We're using the funds. So we should have the funds there to be able to do this, is what I'm hoping.
£4,000 doesn't seem an awful lot of money to get a good mower.
No, I mean, you'll never get on £4,000 in month Sundays. I mean, you're looking for one that's 8-year-old. You're looking at 13,000.
We do have. I've just been looking through. Sorry, Phil. We do have the 4,000 in the budget. We also have money which we had put aside for the lottery match funding, which obviously we didn't get the lottery grant. So there's another 5,700 there. So there is other bits and pieces that, you know, you can allocate towards a tractor not the tractor, sorry, the mower. You know, there's other bits in there that you could use if you wanted, because that's kind of already 9 there.
Yeah. Nigel, did you have anything to say?
But I would like it to be clear that we do have the money before we agree to spend it. If you get my drift.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, so we'll ask him that. But just before we go further, Stuart, I've seen your hand raised. The only thing I'd like to pick up on there is that if we only purchase a mower for Chapel Park because it's a better cut, the other 4 parks are falling in standard. So I'd like to see all the parks given the same kind of attention, really. But that's just my thought on that. Stuart.
Well, that's was part of my thought about us having a trailer that it'll actually go on, that you could take it to the other parks if necessary. But the thing is, we're not going to get much for the mower we've got. I'm wondering whether the proper way round with this is, because obviously we're going to have other amenities meetings. We're looking at this for the beginning of next season as such, because we're coming towards the end of what we can mow and what we can do. We might have a nice November, but we'll probably be into rain and snow. I think we've time to look at it, and I think we've time for Phil to have a look and speak to us in respect of which he thinks is suitable or whatever, and how much it would cost, and we can look at the finances to see if we can actually do it. I don't think we need to make a decision here and now to actually buy one. I think we just need to make it in principle that we'll look that we've got the money and that what we want, and can we afford to do it?
Yeah. Nigel?
Just one more question for Phil. Have we got somewhere secure to keep this?
Well, space is a problem, to be fair. We are tight on space. I mean, what we normally do in the winter is we actually, all the hand mowers and other equipment we actually give them a right good damn clean, and we put them in the bowling clubhouse, because we haven't got workshop space, because we are short on space. We do have another shed, but obviously when the mower we've already got is in there, you can't get anything else in it, because we've also got the bowser in there as well for the watering. So we are pushed for space, to be fair.
Could you suggest any ways that we could get around that space problem?
Other than building another shed, I suppose. If it's got to be, there is room in the compound. I don't know if you're aware of, say, Stuart's written some information down about doing a 5-year plan, which is a good idea, because the compound we've got is actually, I mean, that's small as well, but I have been making an effort since I did start this job is to try and segregate the waste. So I have actually cut down dramatically on waste and getting skips and things in by segregating the waste we've got. But yeah, I mean, ideally we could do with another shed, really.
Phil?
Yeah.
Is there much in this shed at the side of the bowling green that we don't use anymore? Could it just do with a general tidy out? Would that free any space up to for you?
No, it's only wide enough just to get the tractor in. You've probably got about a foot each side of it when the tractor's in.
Right, okay.
Then we've got a space at the back of that where we've got like a workbench and, where all the stuff's kept.
Right. Stuart and Chris?
That was, I'll carry on from where Phil had said that. That's where I'd said where he's got his compound now is where the old toilet block used to be many years ago that many of you remember that was taken down. If we were to put a shed of some sort there, we'd have to look at it as such, but they could be locked up. There could be a proper shed there to put the mowers in. The other thing is the drainage system that we've been checking out runs through there. He could actually have a proper wash-off point there, rather than actually where they park at the moment and come to the bowling green hut and into the garage there, so that the poor people who come to play bowls and that aren't clambering over our tractors and trailers and walking in the grass cuttings and that happen to have fallen off the wheels. He could actually have a better space. Yes, it's something we would need to look at. Once again, it's more money. Whether we can get any, grants or anything like has been said to help us to do these, or whether we just have to start slowly budgeting at it. That's why I'd put it down as a 5-year thing. But it's one of the things I'd like to see, that he'd got somewhere proper to park the mowers and somewhere to clean them off, that aren't all in front of the bowling green, which is where the public is and where that nice flower bed is now and where everybody walks.
Thank you, sure. Chris.
The bowling club sort of, they were looking for some equipment. Now I've sent them details of the landfill fund, which at least one other organisation locally has had grass cutting equipment from, and because we are a sort of epicentre with a big round quarries, this organisations in this area tend to be very eligible. I just had a very quick look at the criteria, and as far as I could see, we would be eligible. And so I will, if I could send it in to Emma, maybe she could check. Would you be able to do that, Emma? I just sent you in the criteria, the contact details, maybe on behalf of the parish council, just asking whether we would be eligible.
Yeah, if you've got it, just email it over.
Okay, I will do.
Yeah.
That's better, Chris. I can hear you now.
Okay, so what I'm taking from this is that I think that we're unanimous in that we need to give Phil better tools and equipment in an effort to maintain our parks.
Yeah.
But what we need to do first is to go away and put a budget, see how much budget we've got, and then start making plans from there. Is that okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so and you're okay with that then, Emma? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll clarify the budget. Do you want Phil to have a look at what sort of types of machine he would prefer and thinks works, and then obviously get you some figures?
Yes, please.
So I'll just write. So Phil, some costings. I'll do the budget, and then if Chris sends me over the email, then I can have a look, and there's no harm in just putting it in, is there, and seeing what you get.
Oh, fabulous! Yeah, fabulous. Okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Does that satisfy that point there?
Yeah.
The next one then. Okay, we're okay with that, yeah?
Yeah.
So back onto my phone. The next one, please, the COVID snake. Would anybody like to start on this one? I have got something I would like to add, but Stella, if you'd like to go first, please.
No, I was just saying, weren't it at the last meeting that Phil had come up with a place where he thought it could go? And we were going to look into that, yeah.
He has indeed. One moment, Stu, before we move forward, if I could just share with Phil and Emma, the lady who started the snake initially with her son, listened to the amenities meeting, not the last time out, the one before that, where we'd suggested that we might consider making a competition of it at Walnbrook Junior School. She really liked that idea, and she wanted to see if that was something that we could still make happen, and if her son could be involved in picking the winner for a small prize. Now, I don't know how that fits in with Phil's plans. We need to try and get it to marry up. So is that something that we could do, Phil, whilst you've still got the I think it's the old WI sandpit in mind for it, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I was thinking of the old sandpit was because it is a prime location for it. And the plan initially was to make a COVID garden. People come and sort of sit and have a bit of peace and quiet there. Put a couple of benches there, and I've planted a new hedge and sort of make a nice quiet area for people. But no, I think it's a good idea that the community should be involved, and I think the schools should be involved as well. But I think we've got to be very careful that we don't end up with something that's going to be not practical, really.
Yeah, I mean, just off the top of my head there, Phil, we could even turn it into a colouring competition.
Yeah.
You could come up with a couple of designs that you think you could probably do, and then we could say, okay, let's get it into the junior school, get them thinking about why we're actually building the snake. These are off the top of my head. This is off the top of my head. I just like the idea of involving the children. However,
I mean, after speaking to, let's say to Ellie and that, and it would be nice actually to get the school kids involved. I mean, I said to her that, well, once there's a decision been made on, you know, the design and where we're putting it and that, then maybe we can sort something out. So, you know, when we're doing the planting or when we're actually putting the, you know, the COVID snake into the position, we could bring the kids up, you know, they could actually help do it, you know, so they're involved in it.
That sounds great. Sounds great. Well, it sounds great to me, but obviously I'm not the council. So Stella, please.
I like the idea of you doing Phil coming up with a couple of designs if it's going to be a peaceful area, because people have lost people during COVID, and doing the designs and then getting them printed off and getting children to colour them. I think that's really good, and it's got the schools involved.
Stuart?
Yeah, I was just going to say, you were right there, Jason. It did come up previously because I think I said it at the full council meeting as well, because the gentleman asked a question about it, because obviously we had decided that Phil would pick all the stones up because they were along the side of the footpath and they were getting thrown about and the mower was catching them and everything, and he took them all to the park hut. They are all there. The lady who has been involved has been taking them away bit by bit, I believe, cleaning them and varnishing them ready for the use of. So it's not that they've gone missing or anything's disastrous happened. They're there, and I think it would be nice to go along the lines of what you're saying, and I'm sure it can be worked out. The sandpit area is the ideal place, and once again, when we'd spoken about this last time, whilst Amber and I were up at the stonemasons, we've talked about these other two plaques. They would be willing, and this is something else that could be decided on the wording, which could be part of the kids' brief with the colouring or anything like that, doing a plaque in the same that matches everything else to say why it's there as such, the snake.
Smashing, thank you. Nigel?
Yeah, I'm just a little bit confused about this colouring competition, because surely the pebbles are already painted, aren't they?
They are. To be honest with you, Nigel, it was off the top of my head. You know, Phil's got an area where this COVID snake can go. 2 meetings ago, we mentioned getting the children involved. It doesn't have to be a colouring competition, Nigel. It can be whatever you like. But I just think it'd be great to have the community involved in it. Phil can lead it, and then, you know, they were just off the top of my head. And no, Manchester Grammar can't join in.
I think Phil was just worried about because initially we were going to get the children involved in design things. Some of the designs and something that was picked as a winner may very well not actually be practical or be vandalised. I mean, if you want, I can put my thinking cap on. We can just put this to Ellie. She might have another idea of how to get the kids involved. I mean, installing the snake at the minute, I know kids are in bubbles, so it's all a bit tricky, isn't it? But
it is.
I mean, when you're not going to put it until next year anyway, are you? Or
well, it obviously depends, because apparently I think Ellie's in lockdown at the moment.
This
she's
is
isolating
herself,
herself, so she has been coming up, taking the stones away, and she's actually been cleaning them up and varnishing the tops of them, so all the paint doesn't get rubbed off and that, which is obviously taking a bit of time anyway.
Yeah. So I mean, hopefully, nobody knows when there's an end to any of this, do they? But I do think it's important for the kids. So what I can do is I can just email Ellie and say the ideas we've had. And if Phil just comes up with a few different designs, I think at least she'd be happy with that for her and Alfie to choose which they'd prefer. But that way, you know that it's going to be safe and it's going to be something that Phil can maintain as well easily. Yeah. You know, you don't want anything that he's going to have to keep.
No.
Redoing every year.
No. Sure.
Well, on that one then, in the respect of, if you're looking for designs or how we're going to do it, I'm just thinking on my feet here. So Phil said about the old sandpit area, which obviously is a square. It's got a tree planted in the middle of it that's for a memorial or such. I don't know whether you just go round and round in circles and make it like a big long stake, or whether they'd want like a wiggly woggly road snake to go through it as such. But if Phil's got the size of it, they could be said that's what it's got to fit in. Any design has to go in that sort of space. Whether Phil pours a load of cement or concrete in it and the kids come up and then stick all the stones in themselves, whether it's random or a pattern, I don't know. You'd bear mind on that with the kids or whatever. But it just also leads you into one that's later on, your park benches. It's something we need to look at in the respect of what he's just said about having a couple of benches there and planting of hedges or whatever. Now, this time of year is the right time to start looking at these things. So it might be nice to be able to draw up something that would cover cover that area so that Phil knows what he's working to.
Yeah, so my take on this then, Council, would be that we let Phil communicate with Emma and Ella, I believe her name is. Is that right? And
Ellie, yeah.
Yeah, and then really just feed back into us as to where we're up to.
Yeah, so long as you're happy that we liaise with Ellie, we obviously press the issue of keeping the kids in the community involved. I mean, she can liaise with school because Alfie's there, and and we'll just let you know where we're up to with things.
Yeah, well, I have no problems. Do we have to vote on that and Stuart, or can we just agree that?
No, we can. As long as we're all agreeable to put it into the hands of Emma and Phil to deal with it and come back to us. You're perfectly all right at that.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you, Phil. Right, okay. CCTV. Who'd like to start? Chris?
Oh, gosh, this one's an old one, isn't it? Going back, I did a sort of back of a cigarette packet specification. I met with one supplier that Emma arranged in the park, and that's as far as I know. But it was an interesting. I believe that supplier never came back to the office, but it was an interesting concept because we were looking at basically that you could do it in stages, that you'd have sort of 4 poles, which were roughly, if you think like a football pitch in the corners, 4 poles, but they'd also have lighting on and cameras on, and then basically the one which would be nearest the cabin would be where all the recording equipment is, and then there'd be a trench that the wiring goes in, and then you can maybe start with the first pole, and as long as you put the necessary extra stuff in, which is you've got the extra recording ability, then you can then extend it to as you could afford it. But obviously the first pole would be probably twice as much otherwise, because you've got the recording equipment and everything else the gubbins to go in. But it was just a concept.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Chris. Stuart.
Right. Some history for you with this one. Part of the CCTV was part of the bid for the lottery bid to actually improve the park. Neighbours and the police and everybody had asked for it. There was a company at one point that was willing to run it remotely or whatever, which never did come back, which Chris is right with. But the biggest problem with it is, for us to do anything with CCTV or lighting or anything in the park, we need a new electricity supply, because the electricity supply that we have in the bowling hut that delivers the electric for the lights on the bowling green, when those lights are on, if they put 2 kettles on in their hut, it puts all the power out. It blows the fuses. We are that close to the limit with their lighting and everything. We could not do anything without putting new electric in. This is why, once again, I go back to my 5-year plan in the respect of the garage where the old toilets were. If we were to put a new, because you'd have to come in down Bowling Green Lane, if we were to put a new power supply into that garage, as such, as you come down Bowling Green Lane, that would give you a perfect point to start, like Chris has just said, with your first pole that could have a light and CCTV on it, which would then look over our garage and our vehicles, as you might say. And then you could put a circuit, you could work out, I don't know which way around the park you'd go, but you could go round the park with a wire and come back to base, if you like, all the way around. You could do it all the way around the park, so it's all lit. Now, whether you wanted lights up at the top or whether you'd like at the, because you'll have seen them, Jason, the new ones that they've put in at the leisure centre up at the school, they're actually set into the edge of the footpath, and the light is just marking out the light of the footpath as you walk through there from the leisure centre through to Frithview. The county have put new ones in there, which are very good, because with that you can actually mow over the top of them and all the rest of it. But either which way, whether it's CCTV or lights, you'd need the power supply to be able to do it.
Okay.
And once again, this would be one that I would say, like you said, a one agenda meeting for dealing with the MUGA and the play areas. This is something else that we would have to look at properly to be able to do it.
Thank you, Stuart. Noted. Stella, and did you want to
No,
say?
no, I didn't put my hand up. Sorry.
Sorry, Nigel.
Can I make a proposal that we ask Emma to go and get a quote for putting a new power supply in, so that we can then budget for it if it's extremely costly, and just so that we're making progress.
Yeah, fabulous. Yeah, my impression of this, if before we go any further, is this is really a seed of something that we'd like to get to. This is the end product. I think there are stages that we're going to have to go through here. So I quite like that proposal. So can we second that proposal?
Yeah, I'll second
I
it.
was just going to say, Jason, I'm willing to second that and what have you. The other part of it is with this, if you are looking at CCTV and we're looking at where we can get funding from, there is the police, the Proceed of Crime Act that you can apply to if you've had a lot of crime in your area, that Hardle Dinser, if I've said his name right, they can dish out money. Now, CCTV is one of the things that they give the money for to stop antisocial behaviour, etc. Now, as they have just had 3 drugs outfits in Chapel that was growing, they must have drawn some money in. Perhaps they might be willing to actually give us some money back to spend on our park.
Okay, thank you, Stuart. Emma?
Yeah, Pat, I think Phil just wants to.
Yeah,
of course, sorry, Phil. Yeah, sorry, Phil.
Right, can I just say about going back to the power supply? Obviously, the first course of action is to get somebody to actually come survey it, isn't it?
Yes.
So what we'll do is we'll try and get maybe the electricity board in, and they will get them to do a survey first. So obviously then we actually know what we're dealing with before we actually, start getting.
Yeah. It's a good point, Phil. Yeah. Well, ask them for a free upgrade.
Great.
We're not putting Sky in.
Right, okay, so that really is still a CCTV. It's a great idea, but I think there's plenty of work left in that, isn't there? But we've had the motion for Nigel.
Right, so with that motion, just to get a survey done, because
Yeah.
I was just going to say to Phil, I have no idea what
Yeah,
electricity needs to go in or doesn't, or I'm not very good with stuff like that. Right,
Thank you, Emma.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay, smashing. Right, next one is The Apprentice. Now, I'll start on this one because this is my idea. Well, it's not just my idea, actually. It was spawned from a conversation I had with Sue. We are all aware of the situation around the country currently with COVID, with people losing the jobs and the future looking quite bleak. And obviously we're aware of the situation in the park where Phil's been short on manpower. I wondered if it was something that this council was prepared to look at in taking on an apprentice or two, and if Phil was willing to teach them the horticultural ways. I wondered if this was an opportunity to get people in employment, get labour for Phil, almost a win-win. it really was just an idea that came out of nowhere from a conversation with Sue, but I really like the idea and I'd like to put that to you. Nigel?
I like the idea, but I want to see costs.
Okay. Okay, anybody else?
No, I'm up. I think the idea is a good idea. If it's a local lad or girl that wants to get into it, give them a chance.
Thank you, Stella. Stuart?
Yeah, well, obviously, I did go through an apprenticeship with ICI years ago. I like the ideas of apprenticeships and people earning while they're learning, should I say. I think it's a good idea. But once again, I do go with Nigel in the respect of we'd have to look at costs, because it's a case of how much time it takes out of Phil's time whilst teaching them when he should be, you know, when he's doing his job, whether it's viable. The other one is as well, whether it's any money out of the government, if you like, for them to actually go to college one day a week to be learning stuff. Do we have to pay it, or do we have a contribution to it, or could we even get a larger horticultural firm or somebody to actually sponsor them for them to be able to go to college? It's another one that would need some investigating. I like the idea, but I do think we'd need to do some investigating, and I don't know what Phil I'd ask Phil here whether, you know, because obviously he's been through it, he's learned. How did he find his?
Phil?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going back some years ago now, but yeah, I mean, my apprenticeship was basically going through all the city and guilds levels, and then from that you go into a higher qualification. I mean, I actually did urban conservation management. One issue is around here, it is quite difficult if you've not got a driving license to get to the places to the training. That's the only. Now I did mine at Bloomfield College in Derby. Obviously times have changed because now it's all MVQs, and I believe they do a lot of vocational training as well. So, and from there I actually went to Woodenshaw Community College where I did the rest of my training. So I think we've got to look into where we can actually get the training from as well. You know, whether it's feasible because obviously you're dealing with, you know, 15, 16-year-old, aren't you? Whether we can actually get them the training, if you know what I mean, and whether it's possible for them to get them so they can get from A to B, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I mean, MVQs at the moment, they do have assessors that come out to you and do it on site as well. So there's quite a lot to, just like Stuart and Nigel was saying, there's actually quite a lot to look into, you know, if you know.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, Phil. But would you be against it? Would you be against?
No, I think it's a brilliant idea. I'm all for apprenticeships. It's the way I've been brought up, if you know what I mean. So
yeah. Chris, could I just ask you, Chris, being a business person, do you believe that there's a great deal of cost in going down that road?
I think there's always there's always some government scheme, especially at the moment. There probably is to
Help fund it.
Helps funding. I've got the figure of 10 in my brain that unless you could take 10 apprentices on, you have to do it through a parent organisation, which might be sort of. I'm wondering Zinc project, Jason. Do you think they could help us?
Fabulous idea. What great idea.
They'll know the answers to all this.
Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah. Okay.
Talking to them, you know, on daily, weekly about
I think one organisation to approach is DEFRA first. They do give out grants. I'm aware of a friend of mine who's got his own engineering business, and he actually got grants from them for his apprentices. So maybe an idea just to get hold of them and see if we can see what they say. You know, if there's anything available from them.
Now, it was worth looking into.
Yeah, thanks, Phil. Thanks everybody else. So again, it's a seed, but it's something that I'd like to think the council are behind rather than against. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll investigate that further, and I'll work with Phil or whoever that needs to. Fabulous. Thank you very much. Next one. I don't think there are any actions there for Emma. I'm forgetting Emma because I can't see it. There's no action there.
Are you all right to have a look at it with Phil? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, if Phil drops.
If you need anything, I'll
Yeah,
Just
of course.
email me,
Well,
do you know what I
yeah,
mean?
I'll always come back to you, Emma, anyway. Thank you. So the next one is park bench relocation. Who'd like to start? Nigel?
Can we get rid of the bench by Merrin's house?
I have no objections.
Um,
But let's go over the whole subject first, and then we'll come back to that one, Nigel. Yeah. So we'll start with on this occasion. We'll start with Chris, actually.
I did send in a suggested plan to everyone, which you should all have got. And basically, it was just something to start thinking about. Basically, where the ones at the top move forward mainly, with room to go round the back of them to mow. But the whole idea is, when the authorities of the police go into the park, at the moment they're choosing the seats. Anyone who's been doing a bit antisocial, where they can see people coming in and then run out another exit. But if you're moving forward, they just don't know. They can't see people coming in quite the same, especially from. And also, I spoke to the police about it, and I think you have as well, Jason. That they thought it was very good for social distancing, so people wouldn't have to walk past them next to the path, as well as it would be slightly intimidating. I don't think most of the kids or anyone using them are particularly intimidating, but it can be for some. But so I just wondered basically, and also Bowling Green Lane, 1 or 2 there would be really nice, because if you get a sandwich from Chris Lee's or one of the other shops, it's just a nice place to sit in, but you have to walk ages before you find your first seat.
Okay, Stella.
Well, I'm just going back to what Chris has just said about social distancing. I know somebody who doesn't want to walk past people and wants to keep the social distancing because of her partner isolating. And she says there's certain times she can't even walk through the park because the kids are sat on the benches and there's not 2 meters distance. So yeah, I think if you can move them so they're not as close to the path and moving forward, like Chris says, I think that might help alleviate people's worries about social distancing.
Can I just, me and Phil have been talking about this, as we understand there's obviously problems with antisocial behaviour and whatnot, but there is obviously a very elderly community in Chapel who like to sit down, and they do the parking stages, and the idea of putting the benches on the grass, seems fine, but what I'm concerned about, being a mother of a child who uses a wheelchair especially, I would not be able to then, if it was muddy, take my child in a wheelchair. And if you've got a baby as well, if you've got a pram, you're rolling them all through the mud. So then you're going to have to literally be installing pavement, like mini pavements, to go round to actually get to the, do you know what I mean, to the bench. Almost like a second path, if you will.
Yeah, you see, no matter where you locate the benches, they've got to be accessible to everybody. That's what you got to think about when you're moving benches around. They have to be accessible to every single person, otherwise there's no point in having the benches. So it's a point of wherever they put, we've got to make sure people can actually get to them without, slipping or wading through mud, if you know what I mean.
So the idea of putting them in the grass, I'm not against that. I love the views, but you're going to have to bear in mind that you're going to have to be installing. It's not just moving the bench. You're going to have to install
the access to the benches.
Yeah, if you get what I mean.
Well,
I mean, I understand about the antisocial, because that it is terrible, because certain benches are, I think, quite secluded, and I wouldn't walk through the park at certain points, to be fair.
I'd like to think that the council, as we move forward, would make only considered decisions, and we're not going to make a snap decision about moving them into the grass because we think that's a great idea. We're going to, we know it's not about removing, and I think it's important that the people of Chapel understand it's not about removing benches from the park. It's just about putting them in a different position so that everybody gets better use from them.
So would a walk around?
I'm not even against putting extra access into the benches if that's what was required. But that there are my thoughts.
Yeah. I was thinking about, well, obviously we walked around, but it wasn't as successful as we wanted it to be.
No.
Maybe literally going round. I think until you stood in it with a map in one hand, and you can actually then see where you think, you can see where's dark, you can see where the kids hide. I mean, I know, like you were saying about Bowling Green Lane. However, we've had issues, haven't we, with the lady who's living on Bowling Green Lane with antisocial. So I think if you put benches there, you might just be adding to it. But again, I think maybe if you're walking round and have a good look about, and you can see where's dark and that kind of thing, and maybe, you can maybe point out some places that you think the benches would look better, and those benches might not need another path.
Yeah, I think it's really important, actually, Emma, that disabled access. We do need to take that on board as well. It is a 21st century, and that needs to be one of the priorities. Stuart.
Yeah, thank you on that one. Obviously, we have got some money in the kitty to buy some benches, because that was what it was earmarked for, and we should have been getting on with it, really, because ideally we should have some benches in for Phil in the park, that he can take a bench out and replace it while he brings one in over the winter for repair as such, because somebody's pointed one out to us the other day that the kids have managed to break. And that's one of the things we have to be aware of, that they do get broken and we do have to swap them round. But the thing is, if you go anywhere else in a lot of parks and that, they have a lot more benches than we do. I think we should be looking at having more benches on all the entrances in, because like you say, we do have an elderly population that walk the dogs and they can't make it all the way round. Some of them, they like to sit down, some like to sit down and meet. We also have the thing that some of the benches have got remembrance plaques on, and people like them in a certain place because that was where that person used to go and sit. We have to take that into consideration. I'm glad Emma's brought up what she did, because I was going to bring up on my daughter's behalf, because of having the twins. It's a case of, having them on the grass side, it's very nice. But obviously, once again, like we did up at the station, when the friends of the station put the bench in up there, they had to put a path and everything round to the front of it to be able to get to it, to sit on it, because otherwise the dog, the cat, everybody gets muddy, the kids, the pram, the pushchair, the bike, whatever they've got. So we do need to consider that, because as it is, when you put them round the edge like they are at the moment, your feet are actually on the footpath, and it's better for the older people or like the disabled. So I think it does need some thought of where they need to go. The other bit of it is, we have mentioned, obviously, with the MUGA and with the children's play area and the skateboard ramp, that some people have asked for some more benches in that area, because the parents would love some benches to sit on to watch while the kids are playing as such, because we've now got younger ones using the skateboard ramp and that, and they want to sit there and watch the kids. So I do think Emma's idea of having just a wander around to decide where some of the benches could go is a worthwhile exercise.
Chris?
This is double one that I'm going to say. The first of all, maybe we should just decide, because of the fact that it'll be a bit of work for Phil, maybe we should just decide to move one at a time so that he's not overwhelmed. Just say, right, this is a priority, let's move this one, and then go to one at a time. That's the thought. The other thing is, the point of playing move the bench near the co-op up with the parish and benches. Maybe which has come up recently. Maybe we should just consider under this topic having them bolted down.
Yeah, Karen's just been into me this morning, Karen Green. Now we will obviously have some sort of permission for those benches now, because Sue's not in. Obviously, I can't get to the files, and they've been there for a number of years. So I've emailed Sue to see what we are actually allowed to do in that permission, whether they're supposed to be bolted down, whether exactly where they're supposed to be.
Right.
I've already told Phil. Obviously, I don't want Phil going up there with a drill over the weekend if, smashing up the pavements. But Karen knows we're on it, so we're just going to have to look at our permission, if indeed we've got one, and then we can't just leave them so the kids can pick them up. But
no,
Phil's aware of it, so it is in hand.
Okay.
Jason, can I just say I've only got I've got.
Yeah, I'm conscious of that. I have been watching me watch Stella. Yeah.
Right, thanks.
Right, Nigel first.
Can I just throw the idea of picnic benches as well into the
Love
mix?
the idea. Love the idea. Love the idea.
Yeah, I can't
Especially
believe we've
near
not
the
got any.
park, yeah.
Yeah.
On that note, actually, Nigel, I believe we've got, Phil, you'll be able to jog my memory. Is it in Coombs that's got one of recycled plastic?
Yeah, we've got
It is
it's
cool.
actually a disabled one.
It's a
where
disabled
you can get a
access.
wheelchair underneath it.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
I
Fabulous.
got that. I've got the details because I ordered that
About
for the community group, and they're only about $3.90 with it because obviously we don't pay the VAT. They were very reasonable,
Yeah, well, I think
and
it
they're
was-
really heavy.
It was about £400.
It was, yeah. I mean, nobody's going to shift them; they're so heavy. But I can't believe we've got none in the park. you
No,
know,
I
it's-
can't either.
no.
Good. Phil, can I ask that you have a think about some of these benches as well and throw your opinion into the mix, please?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, from my point of view as a park keeper, I think moving benches is, I think you answered all my questions really about, disabled access and, normal access and, but I think you're right about picnic benches. I mean, I can't believe there isn't any. It is quite a large park we've got. There's not a single picnic bench in it.
Smashing.
So in my opinion, the more benches, the better, really, because it is a public space and people want to use it.
Okay, that's great. Stuart, if you can be
Yeah, I was just going to add
more
to
do, yeah.
just quickly. I was just going to add to you about the co-op benches, the ones that are at the front there. There did used to be 3. One's gone missing. We never know where it went. Somebody pinched it. I think it must have gone for scrap. There was actually a 3rd one there. Yes, they were bolted down. They were actually unbolted when they redid the marketplace with that York stone or whatever the sort of stone is that's on the footpath. But I've had the lady Stephanie, and I don't know her second name, from the dentist get in touch with me and get in touch with Karen. This is where it's come from, in the respect of, because there's lights underneath the veranda there, the kids are picking up the chairs and putting them against the wall, against the co-op wall or against the dentist wall there, so that they're out of the rain, under the light, they're sheltered. And the only problem is then they're standing on them, and the new sign that the dentist has had, they've actually defaced the dentist sign. So that's why they've asked for them to be bolted back down again. So it was one that I was going to bring up, but Emma beat me to it.
So if they were bolted down, were they, Stuart, before they redid the?
I'm sure they were, yeah.
Right. Well, I'll double check with Sue, and then it'll be on Phil's little list.
That seems like a quick win then, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you, councillors. Emma, that's superb. And so we'll have the final one, and we have to be quick because Stella's going opening up.
Can I just go back?
Sorry, Nigel. Sorry, we haven't touched upon on the bench that we.
Can we move Merrin's bench?
My opinion is if it will relieve some of the tension from her because of the noise and everything else, then it can be seen that we're actually trying. Where we put it, I don't know. Maybe Phil can find somewhere and just say we've moved it temporary until put it near the skate ramp or something, so parents have got somewhere to sit. I don't know.
Well, we've always plenty of places to put benches. I mean, that's not the issue, is it? The issue is, do we move it?
I think
from where it is,
Chris,
why not experiment? Move that bench. I'll say for 6 months. Let's try and see how things happen. I mean, these things, they're not quite set in stone, are they? They're flexible. If Phil's willing to sort of move one for 6 months, if he is, then let's move it for 6 months and see how it goes, and then revisit it in 3 months or 6 months. Would that be all right with you, Phil?
Yeah, well, but I'm easy. Whatever you decide, I'll move anything anywhere. So it's up to you guys, really. I'm here to, whatever you want me to do, I'm happy to do it. So,
But it's important that you share your opinion as well, though, Phil. You are the park manager.
It does get a lot of use, that bench, to be fair. We have had quite a few comments lately about us moving the other bench. But I think, yeah, in respect of the local, like you said, as Nigel says, our neighbours, you know, it might be an idea to temporarily move it and monitor it, you know, and obviously if it does make a big difference from the noise and stuff, then it's answered all the questions, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Stuart, I've seen you nodding your head. Go on, Stuart.
Yeah, I say I don't disagree particularly with moving it to try and what have you. I do worry that if everybody asks for them to be moved and they wanted them put in where they want them, you're sort of setting a precedence, which is one thing I wouldn't like to do. The problem with that one is, if we are going to move it, I'd like it to go somewhere nearer to the trough of flowers that's there, or that gate, because that's the first one as you either come in that entrance, or it's the last one as you go out, and that is why it gets well used. I wouldn't like to see it moved, I would say 1,000,000 miles, but you know what I mean. We need something near that corner of the park, because there's no other benches there as such. That's where it's the first way in and the first way out. So I don't know. I'd leave that to Phil. There's a flower bed that's been planted there.
Yeah. I'm sort of in agreement with everything that everyone said here. I think the first thing we've got to make sure is that it's not a bench that's dedicated to somebody, because if it to. Secondly, I think perhaps if we could get some feedback from our neighbours to see where they might consider would be a suitable alternative site. Is that something that you think we could achieve, Nigel?
Yeah, I can get in touch with Dr. Jones and see where she would prefer it to be.
But we can't put them in doubles.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think it's important. Yeah, so yes, I think as a council we're in agreement that potentially we'd like to find a different site for it. Is that okay? Are you okay with that, Emma, Phil?
Yeah,
Yeah.
fine, yeah.
So are we just waiting to hear from Nigel to see if Dr. Jones has got any suggestions, or do you want Phil just to move it?
I think we can move it in the meantime, and then that shows that we're actually taking action, and then we'll take instruction from Dr. Jones, from Phil, from Stuart. We'll get one or two people just to give us a rough idea where they think it might be. We'll float that and then we'll put it in.
Yeah, okay.
Are we okay with that?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Em. Thank you, Phil. And the last one you'll be pleased to know, Stel, is the sports pavilion repairs. Can anybody start this, please?
I think Phil's been speaking to Chris, hasn't he?
Fabulous. Over to you, Phil.
Yeah, I emailed you as well, did I? Or did I just scan it in and forget?
So what I've actually done is I've costed out, with the help of the bowling club themselves, their committee, the cost of repairs and what we all feel that needs to be done. Now the bowling club have got a lot of experienced tradesmen within them. Now they have suggested that if they actually do the labour and do the work, supply the materials. Now, personally, I think it's a great cost-effective way of doing it. But what I've done is I've split it up into two sections, phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 initially is to just, instead of having the wooden posts of the veranda stuck into the ground, is to build block piers and render them. It's probably more cost effective to do that than actually replace the timber, because once that's done, it's done. It'll never rot again and it's there forever. I think it might be best if Emma...
Yeah, I'm just looking. I've scanned them in with every intention of emailing you all this was made, and I'm just looking through and it's my fault. I haven't emailed him yet. I'll email it now, but he's worked out all the costs with the help of the bowling club to save on labour. Sue's also checked with the insurance company in terms of can we use volunteers. Now, Aviva have come back to us and said that it's absolutely fine because it falls under the employer's liability insurance that we have. We just have to obviously do a risk assessment for the works and the days the works have been done, and just that volunteers are obviously fit and fully trained. But like Phil said, a lot of them are ex-tradesmen anyway. So the whole thing could be done basically for about, what's that, 2,200 for everything.
Well, obviously Stuart's got, knows probably most of the members of the bowling club anyway. He very kindly had a discussion with me and their members as well, their committee. And we sort of come up with the idea of splitting it into two, so the council don't have a massive, and it's not a massive cost anyway, to be fair, don't have all the cost in one go. So I'm sort of suggesting if we just start off with the major bit, which is all the wooden posts being rotten, by building a few block piers and a block wall in between. That's more cost effective because it's like I said before, it's there forever. You never have to touch it again. And then which obviously there'll be no, well, obviously I'll supervise it and there'll be no labour cost to the council. And then phase two is actually repairing the actual roof itself, which we could do at a later date. You know, obviously when it goes through a full council meeting, and obviously you've seen all the costs and things. I think it's a good way of doing it because then it means the bowling club members are actually taking ownership of it as well. If you know what I mean, the actual, the whole process of the council. You know, with it being a council building, but it's also, you see, we also use it as well. It's just something to bear in mind. The park staff do use it as well because we do all our potting up underneath there. Because with us having hardly any space, you know, we go in there and do work, so we're out of the rain. You know, a lot of maintenance work on machinery and all sorts of stuff under there. So it's beneficial to everybody. If you know.
Yeah. Fabulous. Thanks, Phil. I'm conscious of the time. So Chris, quickly, and then Stuart.
It was just a concrete block. Is it going to be clad in some stone or something? That was all my question.
No, we've thought for the cheapest way of doing it and the best way so it fits into what we've already got is to block it and render it. Now you know, that's what. I mean, I can, you know, render it and sort of supervising the blocking and stuff.
It's rendered. So you put in some
Finish to it.
Yeah, like.
Yeah. Well, no. If you render it, you see, you can just paint it green,
Yeah.
and it just blends in with everything else around it.
Okay.
And it's the cheapest way of doing it, and it's the most cost-effective way of doing it, really.
Right.
But on cost, though, Phil, I know that costs are important, but you know, again, make sure that what we do is the right job. So we don't want to be coming back to it in 3 years' time saying we've saved 20 quid this year, but now we're having to do it again. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's what we were aware of, because I have told the bowling committee that if we do obviously pay for the materials for it to be repaired, because obviously we can get the VAT back on that as well. Right. Then you know, we're not going to do it as a quick fix. It's pointless. It's not cost effective, and it needs to be done. You know, so it's never got to be done again.
Yeah. Fabulous. Okay, so Emma, before I ask you, have we got any money in the pot for this?
Let me grab it up. Get my budget out again in a minute.
Have you got that? That costing?
Yeah, I have just emailed you the costing out that Phil's done.
Yeah.
But let me get rolling green bit. See, we've got special project money, which is quite a lot. It's like 7,800. We've got we've still got the Memorial Park bequest, which was a lady left us money in a will, and all we've done is put the flower beds in, and that was a lot. Used a great deal of that at all. Some of the time I went to it, but the rest of the time So we have got, yeah, we've got the, like I said, we've still got the match funding. So there's quite a bit of money, really, and amenities knocking about that we hadn't used in the past couple of years because we were saving it for the lottery bid. That didn't work. This year, obviously COVID, we've not really, I mean, because Phil's just taken on, he's been very aware of what money he's got. He's tried to catch up, he's tried to see what's been spent, and he's much more on top of it now. So we seem to be, in all honesty, in amenities in quite a good position at the minute. But I can get exact figures off Sue if you want.
Yeah, fabulous. Spend. Stuart.
Right. I'd just like to back up what Phil has said there, because yes, I did have the meeting with him, with their treasurer and chairman, secretary and that, because just giving you a little bit of history in the respect of when that pavilion was built on the front of there, the front was actually covered in. It used to have wooden paddling in it. And when you stood on the roadside and you looked across at the pavilion, it looked like a wooden pavilion or whatever. If you, once it's gone rotten, they've taken them off. The ladies and the gentlemen that stand there say it does get drafty when they're marking, because that's where they do the marking from. Rather than splicing wood and put new posts in or whatever, it makes sense to build a proper pier and wall across there, render it, do it the same colour as the pavilion is. It means then you won't see any mowers there or seats there or plants there that Phil's working on. They'd also commented that the wood is going rotten, the flat piece that they do the marking on, so a piece of proper brown or whatever plastic boarding could be put on there to make it better. It weatherproofs it. It's there forever and a day then. They're willing, as he says, to help paint it and do some of the work. As it goes then, if that's all done, if they have any competitions or anything, we could look at, I'd spoken with Sue, I don't know whether we can put permanent, but we could probably put banners on there to say that there was a competition going on. It's something against where they could have photographs, have the cups set up on there when they hand them over. Actually improves it for the bowling club and it improves it for us. If it's done right, it makes it better in the respect of, no, we won't have to come back to it. All right, maybe in 2 or 3 years, someone might have to give it a coat of paint, but other than that, that's the only thing that would need doing. And we haven't done any maintenance on it for a while. We should have probably done some maintenance when all the wooden boardings fell off. I'd like to propose that we do get on and get this done with them, especially with them offering the work and their manpower and that, because obviously right at the edge of the pitch, the bowling green there, the 2 or 3 of the sleepers have gone rotten. It's an ideal time when you're digging out to put some footings in for the block work and the piers, that you can actually put the new sleepers in as well, and the whole job then means that piece along that side is smart and it's tidied up, and then it's a start. We could then look at the roof.
Thank you, Stuart. I'm conscious of time. Who needs to get off? So we need to be quick about this. Nigel.
So Stuart has proposed it. I second it on the proviso that stage 2, doing the roof, we put into next year's budget, and we have a proper budget ongoing for the bowling club.
Now, can I just say, while on the subject, I just took note of your comments at the last meeting, Nigel, about the cost. I am actually putting together a costing of the bowling green for what it costs us. So maybe in the next 3 weeks, I'll get it all emailed round to you all, so you can actually see exactly, you know, what is going on with it, basically, if you know what I mean. And all the costing will be there of, you know, everything, fertiliser, the cost of cutting it, the cost of the machines. It will all be on there. So you will all get a copy when I've actually just finalised it all.
Thank you, Phil. So we've got a motion from Nigel. A seconder, please, that we do the stage 1 and then stage 2 to next year. Seconder, please, anybody?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, okay, and we're all in favour?
Yeah. Fabulous.
Right, okay, so I'm conscious of the time. I think it's been a really, really great meeting. Emma, is there anything else we need to talk about today?
No, not today. What I'll do is, obviously, I'm not going to be in for a week now. I'll run on with all these bits, but I will then also email you out to get this one item agenda.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Is that all right?
yeah, smashing that.
Yeah.
So I think,
Can I just say, if we have to do a one item agenda, I'm okay in the evening if I'm on a Wednesday or something, where I don't have to rush off on a Friday.
oh, okay,
So,
yeah, well,
that's better for you.
let's liaise with Emma, see what nights
Yeah.
are best for her potentially, or we'll be guided by Emma and Phil, because we
Yeah.
want us all in there, I think.
Yeah.
So I think all that it takes for me to do today is say thank you very much for attending, members of the parish too, and I'll see you all soon.
Yeah, and thanks for rushing it through. Right, see you all soon. Bye.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you, Phil.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
See ya.
just to say before you switch it off, Emma, when you do get back in after your holiday, I think Jason and yourself, we need to arrange another one in like a month's time or whatever,
Yeah,
because we haven't got anything booked yet.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll do it all when I come back. I'll sort it out.
Okay.
Right,
Thank
see
you all.
later.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, bye.